I had been selfish. I had put my wife in a place where she was not honored. I put her in a place where she was not celebrated. And I apologize to her. Baby, I apologize to you now. You're such a light. And I allowed that light to be dimmed in a place to where they didn't understand how bright of a star you are. I'm sorry for that. I publicly say that. And I want you to know that you should have never been there. I did not protect you in that season.
My God. I did not fall in love until year 3. I was drowning in the fog. I could not see you. It was like we were fighting against them for so long that we didn't have the moment to be like,
really just stop.
Like,
look at each other.
Wait a minute, you're fired. I remember being at a nail shop and a young lady came up to me and told me that there were people trying to stop me from getting an interview on the radio because of getting pregnant with Nnamdi, y'all.
Yep.
And this person was close.
Yes.
Close to the pastor.
Yes.
I mean, the first thing I thought was like, dang, I'm really somebody's third baby mama.
Ouch.
Look, put on your seatbelt.
Please put on your seatbelt. Listen, this isn't your normal love story. If you're looking for the rosiest love story, that it just, I came in like a knight in shining armor and picked her up and we went on to live happily ever after. That's not us. This is an Iwebu production.
Period. What's up, y'all? It's your girl TK.
And it's your boy Nnamdi.
And you are pillow talking with the Iwebus.
Yes.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
We in there deep.
We live with it. What's good?
Listen, here we motivate kingdom living in all aspects of life while encouraging you to strive to be all God has called you to be. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, a journey that you are on, come along the journey with us. Join the family, join the community, join the gang. And how do you do that? You do that by liking these videos, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the notification bell so you can know every time this fire content drops.
Yes.
And I know we do this every time, babe, but I gotta continuously say thank you to everyone that continues to come up to me, to DM me, to text me if you have my number. Like I can't keep saying it enough because it's like little old us.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're just blessed, and we're ground floor still. But every message that we get, every inbox, every person that comes and tells us that, man, y'all our new favorite podcast and all that, man, it really blesses our heart. Because you never know when somebody just needs that encouragement to keep going, and really that's the fuel that keeps us going. We just want to help somebody. We've been through some things in life, and we just want to bless some people, just to make sure that they make the right choices and right decisions in life too. So
and it's so dope because it's like the clip you sent me today of Pastor
Tim Ross.
And he was like, all I got is experience, and
that's all we got. Like literally,
what we just say, trauma and experience, something like that. And it's like y'all are really tuned in to people that, I mean, it works. Like if you're looking for a formula to bless people, literally vulnerability and transparency, and then obviously a repentant heart and showing that you've grown from those things. But transparency, I think that's the word that we constantly hear about us. Like, how can y'all be so transparent? Y'all are so transparent. Y'all keep it so real. Y'all are so vulnerable. And I believe that's our marriage. That's really who we are in real life. Like we're the same on and off camera. And so, I was just thinking about that today. Like, wow, that's really, we ain't coming over here with PhDs and masters and all of that, or like, shoot, there's stuff we still learning. Like when people compliment us, we be like, wow, y'all really liking it. Like
that's dope.
That's fire. It's so really fire. Thank y'all. Just want to say that. Thank you. If y'all haven't noticed, I think we're a little sexy today.
Yeah, you looking real nice.
Yeah, looking real handsome. I feel like we looking real good.
Turn this camera on.
Jesus, it's that day. It is Valentine's Day.
Yes, love is in the air.
Y'all are watching it the day after, but this is the day that we're recording. It is actually Valentine's Day, and we were just talking like we've never like openly devoted a video, a podcast to our love story, how we met. The stuff all
everything
in between. So that is what this is. Look, put on your seatbelt. Please
put on your seatbelt. Listen, this isn't your normal love story. If you're looking for the rosiest love story, that it just went I came in like a knight in shining armor and picked her up and we went on to live happily ever after. That's not us. But for some of y'all,
high school sweethearts.
Nah, none of that. But for some of y'all, man, probably most of y'all, man, your story isn't perfect. You don't have that story. You may have a blended family. Or you just may have made some mistakes and didn't, keep yourself all the way before marriage and not have sex, all those different things, man. We're real people who went through some real things, but we serve a real God who has shown some real grace through all of it. So we just want to somehow in some way share that with y'all, and I believe our love story has some of that in there. So
this is going to be interesting, y'all.
Very.
Because our stories are very different.
Very different.
Our perspectives are very different on how this thing went.
It's kind of like, babe, you ever, I don't know if y'all ever seen that Martin episode where him and Gina have two different perspectives of how they kind of came about. And he's like, come here, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's like coming in on some film stuff. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
And she had him nerdy.
And that's how you kind of, So let's just get to the story. So how exactly did the Uebus meet? Like how did our love story come about? How did this all form? And we'll start. We'll give each other's version. So we'll start with we want to start with your version first, baby?
I mean, sure. We can go back and forth. Yeah, I guess we can start with mine. We both agree where we met, guys. So we met at church.
Yes, we did. That's facts.
Namdi was on the praise team. That was just my first time seeing you on the stage.
Yes.
You were the tenor, and he had on big black boots.
Jodeci boots, y'all.
And like a really super tight shirt with like big shoulders.
Hold on.
What?
Come on now, my tight. I ain't had no. Okay, I did.
Yeah,
my
was
pastor
trying to be sexy.
Like, nah,
you was literally trying to show off your chest.
No, I wasn't. No, I had been in the gym, but I didn't. Yeah, I was trying. So, for those who've been knowing me for a long time, during that early 2000 era or whatever, I was the guy with the triple XT on. So when I finally figured it out that I was wearing too big baggy tees, I finally started
went the complete opposite route to get two small shirts. So when you put on that shirt in the morning, you wasn't like, dang, my pecs are like my shoulders and pecs and arms.
I mean, I just felt like anybody that been working out their pecs and shoulders be showing.
If we're gonna move forward,
see this what I'm talking about.
If we're gonna move forward with telling the story, you cannot catch.
Let's keep going.
He was literally trying to show off his pecs and shoulders and stuff. But
I guess
the thing that I remember about Namdi was that he just always looked over on our side with me, my sister, and my cousin, and we always made eye contact.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
You agree with that?
No, we always made eye contact.
When I would open my eyes in between worshiping the Lord and trying to have an intimate moment with God and service. So
you're basically saying I was looking at you.
Yes, I definitely do recall that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. So here's the thing. When she thought I was looking at her,
oh my Lord.
Okay, really what was happening was they were the livest section. Like other than like I had one particular sister in one area of the church on the left. She was hype, probably like a couple of them. And then on y'all side, y'all used to be on the right side. And I was just like, okay, y'all really praising. This is before you actually got on the praise team, but go ahead.
Okay. That's what we don't agree on, but okay. So I got on the praise team and I was in a relationship. Oh gosh, well, I was in a kiddie stationship, like a very childish. I was in a very childish relationship. And Namdi, at that time, you were dating someone as well. And even knowing that or not knowing that, I just was not paying attention to you. Like I just was like, hey, brother in Christ, hello, how you doing? I don't remember talking to you much at all during rehearsals. Like praise team, I remember one specific moment when I had got my hair done, and it was slay, baby. I had did a blind side part with the bangs and like a bunch of layers, and it was just it was giving. I looked and I knew I looked good that day too. I had on this little cute blue fitted dress with my little sandals on, and Namdi was just like, oh my God, like every woman in the world should do their hair like that, and that's just so beautiful. Like wow, like he was just so amazed at how I looked, and I remember in that moment just like, okay, you're doing a bit much, but I felt uncomfortable, to be honest. Like you are over complimenting me.
Yeah, see, first off,
Am I gonna tell this story?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Before I got with my wife, I was just naturally that guy, and my sister, like if I felt like, oh man, like your hair was nice or something, you would do that. I think it's in a Nigerian brother's spirit to just be a, complimentive guy who tells you, without necessarily liking you or something. But yeah, I think her hair was pretty dope that day. I vaguely kind of remember that, and for some reason, me being so naive, I probably, just was like, never seen nothing like that. Probably thought it was just all yours. You didn't do no.
Yeah, you thought it was my hair.
Yeah, I thought it was.
He thought hair down to my behind was blonde was mine.
Yeah, I just tripping.
Yeah. So anywho,
you think I know better, but yeah.
Yeah. So that was another moment that I was like, oh, he finds me attractive. And then I remember going to an event that I expected him to be at because of the people that was there. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, let me rewind back. I remember you being concerned about who I signed with. So I had signed to a label in Kansas City. See, this story might be a little, but I remember, I signed to a small label in Kansas City. And I don't even know how this man got me on social media and started like doing any of that. But I remember him just like, if I had $1 million, I would sign you. And if you like just overly concerned. And then when I like went to thinking about going to the Navy, like you were just always concerned with what I was doing. And am I gonna be able to tell my story?
It's just so many areas. It's just like
okay. So you didn't say. Hold on. So when I signed to the label, you wasn't on some. If I had $1 million, I would have signed you.
Oh, definitely. So
okay, nope, that's it. Okay. And when I went to Virginia about the Navy, you wasn't on some like, dang, why? Well, yes or no? Yes or no?
I mean. Did I come off that way to you?
Yes.
Okay, no, I think I was more just like, man, why would you go to the Navy when you're so talented? Like who would just think of Nicki Minaj or
some of them have military backgrounds.
Whatever these new girls, Glorilla, all of them, they going to the Navy when they're so actually like backgrounds. Dope, huh?
Okay, people go to school for nursing and don't do that.
It's like why wouldn't you at this stage really go pursue your dream fully? That's what I was thinking. Right. It wasn't nothing about like, girl, you leaving. Like I wouldn't okay,
thinking, I'll go ahead and
because straight up.
That's actually not true because you eventually told me what's up, but okay, I won't do that. So then I ended up going to an event that I knew that Nnamdi would be at, or I expected him to be at. And
so I was expecting.
No, not expecting.
It's okay. Tell him again. Say that again.
It's because
I was expecting him to be at meetings that she was thinking about it. Like, I bet you Nnamdi gonna be there.
I literally saw your ex, and so I thought that you would be with her. That's just simple as that. Make that very clear. And so I ended up going, and that following Sunday, I was like, "Hey, why weren't you at such and such?" And you were like, "Oh yeah, we're not together no more." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. Just to give a brief situation on that, when I found out that Nnamdi was engaged, my first thing was like, oh, they were dating, because I never saw y'all interact. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing that I was actually like, I didn't even know he was with somebody. I never see him talk to her. I never see them affectionate, like what couples do, sit together after church, walk to the car, give her a kiss. Like I just never saw them intermingle. Is that a word? Intermingle?
Yeah, you just never seen us.
Just never saw
any public affection. None. Or just around each other.
Or even like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's a lot to that. But go ahead.
Yes, I never saw it. So let me speed this up. So that moment that you said that, I was just like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Because that was kind of weird to me to begin with, that y'all never talked. So we ended up singing or whatever. Fast forward, you ended up getting a job, and you asked me, where did I live? Because your job was close. It was in the same city that I lived in. And I guess you were looking for places that were closer to your job. Yeah. Next thing I know, Nnamdi's moving in the same apartment that I stayed in.
I'll get to that. No, apartment area.
Yeah, apartment building. The same building.
Same building. We were the same building. On two different sides.
Yeah, he was on the third. I was on the bottom. Same building.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, that moved quick. Like, I thought he was just going to kind of be in an area. I didn't know. So, yeah. Do you want to cut in?
I guess I could cut it with my. Is that yours? Before we go to the next step.
You moved in, and it's a lot to the moving in part.
Yeah, so we got more to that.
You can cut in, and then we can go back and forth. Go ahead.
So far, I mean, you feel like you told your best version of how.
No, I didn't tell the best. I told the truth.
All right, so listen here. Y'all ready for the truth? All right, here we go. So, we were on the same praise team at church. Eventually, obviously she came and she was out in the crowd. Worship was real pure. I didn't really see many women, to be honest with you, worshiping just so fully and free. Even her family, just her, her sister and also her cousin, they were just worshiping freely. So again, I looked to them a lot over there in that section. But I think I will fast forward. Praise team, we didn't really talk to each other. We didn't really communicate with each other much there at all. I found out that you were an artist. I thought you were really, really, really dope. So one of my boys was telling me like, man, yeah, she raps, she dope. Matter of fact, to get to that, actually, I remember you selling your CDs. She was selling her CDs. And she was like, are you going to buy one of my CDs? She caught me outside. I was like,
I asked you.
I was like, yeah. I was like,
so you gonna buy
I don't got no cash. I mean, it's just here. Don't worry about it.
How did not have that type of
you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Just gave it to me. I'm like, oh, listen to it. I'm like, man, she is really dope. Therefore, when she was talking about going to the Navy and all that, I'm like, why? I'm like, you got some potential on as being an artist. Either way, fast forward, I can tell you the signs of when she started to kind of make her little gestures at me. I didn't notice it until we actually were together. So full disclosure, I didn't really catch none of these hints. Sometimes, unfortunately, I can miss some things because every time when I'm looking at any sister, even when I met her, especially at churches, I'm like, this is my sister in Christ. Like, and I do my best to keep it at that. Did I realize you were attractive? Yes. But I always kept it like that with anybody, and I knew that being in leadership, I had to hold a certain standard as far as being on the worship team, all those things. So anyway, it was a few different things that you did. Number one, I believe was the first time you reached out and I had put up a post about having a job at one of my stores I was in. I managed a T-Mobile store, and she acted like she wanted the job. I sent her the link, like, yeah, go ahead and apply. Yeah, let me know when you done it. And I heard nothing back. So I was like, hey, do you something wrong with the link or something? Like, what's going on? I sent it to her. She's like, yeah, so it didn't work right for me. Never heard nothing back about this job. So again, not at that time I didn't realize she was throwing her little hints. But later on, I was like, oh wow, when the trail, follow me, you'll understand why. So next, another time she reaches out to me about possibly upgrading and figuring out what store I was at and all these things. This is true. This is real talk, and I got receipts. If y'all want to say Namdi post the receipts, I still got it was Facebook Messenger. That's how she was messaging with me, was through Facebook Messenger, so I still got it to this day. So anyway, fast forward, she's supposed to get this upgrade. Never happens. Never comes through or anything. I'm like, you hit me up on multiple occasions.
I'm so weak.
On to eventually that conversation. The crazy thing is that conversation about me being at the party or whatever I was supposed to be at, I felt it. When I told her that me and this young lady I was with was no longer together, I just kind of felt this. It was kind of this look like, okay. Like, it was just something about it. It was like,
I don't remember.
In hindsight, like I didn't really get it then, but I can remember that time just like yesterday. You was sitting on the steps right before we was about to go up to do praise and worship that morning. Mm-hmm. You were sitting on the steps. I was standing up. Yeah. I remember that. I will never forget it. So either way, fast forward, and I think it was maybe like a month or so later. And she said, hey, she sends me a message on, again, Facebook Messenger. Hey, did you just add me on Snapchat? Again, I'm not even paying no attention. At this time, I'm going through a kind of transition in my life. I had been praying and just really deep. Just me and God, all right, because I had just broken off an engagement and all this. But she had said, "Did you send me a Snapchat invite or something?" I'm like, "Nah." Again, hindsight didn't recognize it.
You thought that was flirting.
When I look back at it, it probably was. It was like, "Hey, I'm trying to get some conversation going here. Hey, do you see me? What's up?" Because this was now your third time reaching out to me in some type of form and way. Okay. Fast forward, yes, I did need to move because I was going to be managing a store that would be in the same particular area of Kansas City that she would be in, and so this other place that fell through. I was like, okay, I do need to. It would be great if I could be closer to the store. I'll be like basically like 5 minutes. So I said, hey, what area do y'all stay in? Because I knew they lived in this particular area. And
how did you know that? Because you had to do some type of research.
No, because your sister, I believe, talking to your sister a cool amount of times. Her and Gerald, I talked to them, and yeah,
but you didn't move where they were. You moved where I lived.
Right. So I just asked you because we was just at worship rehearsal, and let's thought, man, let me ask her about this. So she told me where it was at, and I just said, man, let me try this because I was running out of options and I need to make this move here very quickly. Came to find out it was a really great place. Loved my area, my apartment, and all that. She know I loved it, and I moved in, and the first visit I got was from my good old neighbor with some sweet potato pie. Would you like some? She comes up, hey, by this time, I believe we at least had each other's contact. Yeah, because we wasn't going through Messenger, I don't believe, at this time.
Yeah, I think maybe we had it. Yeah,
we might have had each other's.
I had to because I feel like I text you like, are you moved in or something like that.
Yeah, I think we kind of exchanged contacts fairly from there. And he was like, hey, I went to a party, like we had a party or something like that, and it was some leftover pie.
Yes, and that's true because Christy can attest to that. Yes, she can. And I can literally ask her to. It was her going away party.
Okay,
she's back.
But either way, now. If anybody knows me, I love sweet potato pie. Like really love sweet potato pie. And so I think she did her research on me, found out what I really like, and she showed up with it. That was her first plate, and then she came with another plate. And so that's my version of how we met. And so if you ever meet as a person and you ever talk to as a person, it's always a controversy about it.
So he feels like, to wrap this up, Nnamdi feels like I pursued him. Yes. He feels like along the journey I was like consistently showing up in a way that was like, hey, like, look at me.
Hey, listen.
I feel like
you left the crumbs. You left a trail of crumbs all the way up to it. How many times are you gonna make a contact? You were trying to get my attention, and I know you as an aggressor, babe. When you want something, you go after it. So knowing you now, I know you wasn't about to make it like plain and known, like, hey, what's up?
I think
but you was gonna be like, hey,
let's agree to this. Do you see on camera here right now?
Okay.
Let's say, can you agree with that? I made myself available to you.
Yes.
Okay, but not pursued you.
You told me you pursued me.
What are you talking about?
You did kind of like tell me you pursued me.
When did I say that?
I believe you did here recently. But I would say you did make yourself, let's be fair. Let's meet in the middle right here. She made herself available to me. So that.
I made myself available to him when he was single.
Yes. And I had yeah, you did.
Oh, okay. That yes sounded a little shaky.
No, you did.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. Like
you
that.
Didn't.
The that was once the conversation of, oh, we're not together no more.
Yes.
And then you moved to my apartment. Like that was your first move. Is moving in the same building as me.
Yes.
You followed me.
No.
And then, yeah, that's what happened.
So either way, so that right there, you guys, for those who want to know, how did the Uwebus meet? That's exactly how we met. Furthermore, in moving on, we moved on from just meeting.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to kind of go into how did the next phase kind of go. And I believe we can agree on these parts.
Definitely. So we got 5 stages of our love story. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah.
Yes.
So after we kind of went through this, like, I feel like it was a quiet, subtle conversations back and forth. Mm-hmm. of like interest in one another. When you moved into the same apartment building, it was just like, oh, you're actually right next to me. So my version of this, of not version, but just literally my truth, is that when you moved in the apartment, I was just happy to have a friend. Like, I didn't have no friends in the church. I mean, I talked to one other guy. Unfortunately, it wasn't a female. And I had a female, but she was, whatever. But so I was just overly excited, and we were just vibing with each other. Like, like literally, I was sit on one. He had an L-shaped couch. I was sit on the corner. He was sit on the opposite corner. Like,
real talk.
And in my head, I wasn't even trying to be careful. Like, my mind just wasn't even there to like cross a line with you. Like, I literally was in such a place where I would vent to you, like, why am I not making friends here? Like, what is going on? I make friends everywhere else. We just, was just vibing with each other. And then it got a little bit, we talked more than just about the church. We started listening to music and listening to flowetry, and our styles of music was just really dope. And that was probably the decision we shouldn't have made. Listening to R&B music late at night.
I think one of the dope things about when I met you was like, wow, like somebody who loves music like me.
Yes,
like because we're though at a friendship stage. I believe this went on for almost a month.
Oh yeah,
where we was just like
vibing
every few days or so often. We would just
the balcony
sit there, we would just sit there and
summer
talk
nights,
and just too much alone time together. Definitely
too much alone time, too much like sexual music. Like, what was we listening to? Yes.
What was it?
No, babe. Yes, babe.
Are you talking about Vaughn?
Oh, yes. What's the part that we both was like, this is my part?
Don't say.
It's yes. Yeah. So consistently listening to this type of music. I think it's just like
definitely shouldn't do it.
Just even we were just unaware, like it wasn't it wasn't. This is why we
say this is a learning moment. Listen,
this is why
we continue to push. Listen, when we say we got the scars from this, listen, we could tell you what not to do because we did it, and we don't want you to have to go through it because all of this is real nice and pretty and laughing down.
Yeah,
because Grace has found us, but we got the scars and we had to go through some stuff for it. So yeah, that's why we say, hey, singles, don't be alone together, man. Do not be listen.
Late.
I mean, for real, have accountability. Like, have some people there when we gonna meet up or whatever. Even if you think that especially if you're opposite sex, or even you just think that we may be cool. So I don't care if the girl may come off as tomboyish. Homie,
still gotta.
Yeah, she still got that.
She still got that.
You feel me?
Yeah, that's such a good point because when I be hearing of these single people just hanging out late night, chilling at each other's houses, I'm like, y'all, we are sexual beings. So anywho,
real talk.
We kept hanging out, we kept vibing. We grew to like each other a lot, literally as friends. Like Nnamdi was my friend. I really enjoyed talking to him and
talk for hours.
We talked and we talked and we talked and we talked. And when R&B was flowing and we ended up crossing that line. And our first time being intimate, I became pregnant.
And we literally had a talk with each other like, hey, listen, we got to stop this.
Yeah.
Like, we know better. We can't be doing this.
Yeah.
And all of that. And you hit me with that call and I won't forget it. I will never forget the time when she called me to let me know she was pregnant. It's like my whole just soul just synced. And the reason to kind of give you some context to why, number one, I'm on the worship team, so I'm in front of people. I'm worshiping. I'm doing all this, man. Before this, I'm keeping myself. Like I had been abstaining, wasn't a bunch of, and
just even a deeper. Also, just so they can have full understanding, you was like the banner, the spokesperson for this church.
I was that guy. Like
if you go on his page, all you gonna see is the church.
Yeah,
like that's who he was. So that's also why it hit him much different than me.
Hard.
Not harder, but different. It hit him different than it hit me. But go ahead.
Also, because I had been, engaged previously,
Earlier that year.
Yeah, earlier that year. I got engaged on New Year's Eve. It was big. It was viral almost in sorts there in Kansas City. And so many people knew. But behind the scenes, me and, my ex, we just weren't seeing eye to eye. We weren't able to get, we were able to get counsel, but just didn't agree, I guess, to actually go and get it. And eventually we broke things off. We broke it off very silently. So I already knew that this was about to look real bad because really nobody even knew that her and I had been broken up.
Yeah.
They didn't even really know as much. Probably really like close people to us, but not like the macro, like everyone. Everyone didn't know that. And so, my soul dropped. I remember just getting that call and sliding down the wall and crying like no other. Like just crying my butt off.
Yeah.
And just so like feeling like the biggest like failure ever in life. I won't ever forget that moment. It's tough even talking about it sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's
just
crazy.
It sucks. Because real talk, what I do, like my transformation is real. And so I knew that also it will. I put a black eye on the Lord. Like people, how they say that you're the only Bible that some people will read. I knew that I was that for many people, and they were watching my ascension from where I was at, and I was no longer this dude who was in the club and womenizing and all this stuff, and I was going up and up, and I was growing. And I remember even I was about to do some special stuff with my church at that time that we're about to do, and all of that was about to be cut. And I knew that people would think, oh, the whole time this is what I might have been doing. Like they might have thought that I wasn't really about that life. I was a dude with my hands up on Sunday. Real talk, I'm laying it down on somebody on a Monday. You feel me? And that wasn't the thing at all. So I just didn't want my integrity, my name to be smeared like it was at that time. So it sucked so bad. What about you, babe?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I thought was like, dang, I'm really somebody's third baby mama.
Ouch.
That was probably the lowest feeling I could have felt. Like I'm a third pick. Like I'm a third baby mama. And so although we were spending time together as friends, that's when I started questioning like who did I actually lay with to be his third baby mama. So it was more so inspecting you than it was myself. Like unfortunately, even though I made that decision, it was like, because although I was a leader at the time as well, because I was on the praise team, I had no attachments to, like, no personal connections with the pastors or the people of the church. So I didn't have this disappointment of the people, embarrassment that I was his third baby mama, yes, but not the church. My family and what my family would think, yes. As far as like my mom and her sisters, like I almost felt like because I did so good for so long, I praise dance. I was a worship leader. I've been worshiping all my life and playing the drums, the photographer of the church. Like I was that. If you saw Bishop John and Pastor Diana, you saw Takesha. You saw Keisha there. Even my grandmother got, rest her soul. I was that grandchild that they just knew would grow up to be something. And so to become, again, not only a baby mama, but a baby mama to a man that has 3 of them, probably was I just felt like a disappointment. And I absolutely negotiated to not keep the child. And I remember even thinking about, like, I was so adamant. And it's so crazy how it happened. I was sick immediately. Like, it did not take long for me to get sick once I got pregnant. Like, I was sick. Man. Like, I was sick. I was throwing up. I could not eat. I remember being in the house for I don't know how long. Just dark, no food, not eating. Like, just felt so disgusted. And I was so, back to that point, with me not eating and not being able to get up, I quit my job. Yeah. And I remember after quitting, I was like, I gotta get rid of this child. And I remember begging you, like, please pay for this. Like, please, let's do this. And when I announced to our pastor at the time that I was going to do that. Like, I told them, like, when I leave, I am preparing to get rid of this child. And it wasn't even necessarily because I wasn't ready to be a mom or this or that. It honestly and sincerely, again, was that I was someone's third baby mama. So I was like, what does this feel like? Am I going to... I know he don't want another baby mama. Like, I know that. And so is this going to be special? Is this going to end into something? And so that was more so of my experience, is just being a third baby mama.
Yeah, and I was, you know, doing my best, even though I knew we messed up. I knew that wasn't the route to go. The route to go was not, you know, getting rid of a child or anything like that. I knew this just wasn't the route. And that will stay with you. Yeah. Definitely. And so I was trying my best to talk to you and talk you out of it. And I just let you know, I ain't give you the money. So I said, we already messed up. I'm not about to double down. Yeah. Like, that's not what I'm about to double down on seeing. No, we already messed up. I'm not jumping for joy that you're like, you know, that you about to have my child or anything like that. Just was not my thing. So it just was just a very tough moment. It seemed like it lasted forever too. Like, it was the longest pregnancy of my life. It just was a very sad, because it took what I considered was really pure and it was pure between us. Like, it was. What we had was just pure. It was good. And it was like, dang, we perverted that. And now we're here, not only with a child, you got a third baby mama, the church, and that was the biggest. I just want to interject here, like, that, especially you as a leaders, just know that the enemy's going to come at you even harder, because he wants to mess up your ministry. He wants to smear that up. He doesn't want people to be called to hear Jesus in any form. So people like us who, I mean, she's rapping for him and she's doing really good. Yeah. She's really going up in this deal. And I'm doing praise and worship. I just went to earlier that year a conference with my pastor, and he's basically talking to me how I'll basically be the guy who kind of does administrating over the, you know, different functions of the church. He's getting me prepared for that. Like, hey, you need to speak with so-and-so. See him, you're going to be that. You need to, like, he's taking me under the wing. So he wants to come and just mess up all of that. He's coming to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to destroy all of that. So you have to make sure you safeguard that with all you can and all your might, because what you're hearing from us right now, man, we're reliving that in our mind, and it sucks so bad at that time. Yeah, at that time. And I would say, bigger than the actual situation sucking, I feel like it was just like a continual cycle of shame. Yeah. And this might be where we maybe disagree, but the whole situation was just incredibly blown out of proportion. Two grown-ups having sex and having a child is what happened, and that's that's how most of us was born, you know, like it. And so yes, I do agree with what you're saying as far as being leaders, but y'all, the thing that kept us down was shame and condemnation, not actually what happened. Like, yes, what happened, we repented of you know, fornicating. We repented of that, but it was the years that we just sat in shame that was more so of the issue. And so moving forward, I just want to say that, like, it was that deep, but it also was not. Like, it shouldn't have been as long, as blown up, as talked about, because we haven't even gotten to the fact of the rumors that were spread of our name being drugged through the mud from the people at that church, and the lies that was told on how we got together, and big lies. Like, it was just blown up out of proportion. So even when we got out of the smoke, and we were like, and I think I had to tell you, like, babe, we didn't do nothing that crazy. Like, I did not step into a marriage. I was not somebody's wife. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't kidnap somebody, cheating. Like, no, we were two single people that were alone, that had sex and got pregnant. Again, like how most of y'all did it and how most of us was born. Like, that's just what it is. And so
speaking of the enemy, yes, he comes to rob those things, but he also can rob you of just by reminding you of shame and condemnation and bad decisions. And so the biggest part of this whole thing being blown up was, unfortunately, the church we were attending. We immediately, I definitely immediately left. We both sat down off of the worship team, of course, set ourselves down. But I ended up leaving for about 3 months. I just straight up out of like, what in the world? I'm actually pregnant. And I think in that time, just like when we went through COVID, I realized how alone I really was in that church, because I was like, dang, I'm serving this much and I can be gone for this long and nobody where the girl with the blonde hair? Like nobody cares. Like I can go when I worked at IHOP. Let me not show up a couple of shifts. Like not even my manager, my coworkers gonna be like, "Hey, Takesha, where you at? Are you coming in?" Like, and the people I was serving with didn't even have enough care, and so that was a big part of it. But then, as we continue to like live on, we continue to hear stories and rumors and subliminal sermons and subliminal Facebook statuses about us. And it was just like, what in the world is going on? Like, why did this become so big? Now we know, you know, the Lord's hand has been on us and the favor of God is on us. And you, baby, cut me off at any time that you need.
I think you're telling, like I said, the truth. It was blown way out of proportion.
Way out of proportion.
We a lot, and it was driven more by people on the outside, people that was from the church, all those things, the lies, all those things that we went silent. We wasn't like we was on Facebook flaunting it, or we disappeared. We were just going through sabbatical. A time. You don't know what, here's the biggest thing that you need to know about somebody who's fallen. And this is one thing that I look at so many believers with so much grace now.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I know that, listen, they're already going to be, if they're a true follower of Christ and they're submitted to him, they love Jesus, but they really truly made a mistake and they know that they did, and they truly have a repentant heart, then I know they don't need none of my condemnation. They don't need none of my slander. They don't need none of my shaming. They need my love.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I see people fall and I hear these stories of Christian artists and they may fall and all those things, I don't look at it right away and just be like, oh, he's just the worst. He didn't know about Christ. Just throwing stones at him. I just see them and I'm like, man, who's going to go and pray with him right now? He may be having suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Man, who's going to call and really pull up on him? Yeah. Who's going to pull up on him right now and say, hey, bro, I know you're going through it, bro. I just want to pull up on you real quick and see what's going on.
And not to be nosy.
Not to be nosy, but just because I know, listen, you already beating yourself up.
Yeah.
I need to be there to pick you up.
Absolutely.
Remind you who you are in Christ. I thank God.
I think you had that.
I had a couple brothers.
I was sitting I remember sitting next to you on the couch and watching people from the church call you back to back, and I was just like,
well, here's the thing.
Granted,
more of those, some of the people were just more of like, hey, come back to the church. They wasn't worried about you. I truly would have to shout out my brother D. Chris right now. I love that man forever because he wasn't worried about what people were saying, nothing. He came like, hey, bro, I'm here with you. Hey, bro, what you need? You good? Hey, how's sis doing?
Yeah.
Hey, he was on that love. I was him, Mike, being there too, Mike Bishop, 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 he was there. Those people were there in the trenches in the dirt with me, and I love them forever for that.
And it's so crazy. When we tell this story to everybody else, they're like, I remember we were sitting down.
They'd be like,
I remember we were sitting down with. I remember we were sitting down with another pastor, a pastor and his wife, and considering going to their church, and we were telling the story of what happened to us at the last church, and he was like, I don't really care about none of that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's washed under the blood, brother.
Yeah, that's washed under the blood. Do y'all want to come over here? Because I remember he said, I will have something for you to do tomorrow. You will have something to do every day of the week. We need a new worship. We need you to come on. And so again, that's why I also wanted to be clear to those that yes, the enemy comes, but he also will use, like, that's when you know it's no longer just your conviction and you feeling sad about disappointing your God. No, that's condemnation, because you're not supposed to live in it. How long? We lived in condemnation for what? 3 years?
Probably 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years?
I'm probably the worst at it.
Oh,
I couldn't forgive myself.
I would have to shake him like, Namdi.
I could not forgive myself.
We're good. Like, but that's also because we still were there.
Yeah.
So we were also still in an environment.
We went back eventually.
We went back
that's another part of the story.
I know, it's a whole long part.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother, maybe a whole nother video. But yeah.
So yes, the controversy behind it was the story that was told for the Iwebus without us opening our mouths was that Namdi was with someone and he cheated on that young lady with me, totally and I stepped in on that relationship and got pregnant. That is not true.
Yeah.
But because we got pregnant and we got quiet, the lies were louder than the truth because we didn't speak.
Yeah.
We didn't speak until later, I'll say.
like I always say, Charlamagne said, man, nobody cares about the truth when the lie's more entertaining.
Yes.
And that really is what was the thing. And even when we, later down the line got to telling the truth.
We told the truth so late that nobody...
even when we did did a live video.
Yeah.
Woo, the guys came a-blazing on them subliminal posts and stuff. They came pop. And you're like, oh, y'all, it's something else when you believe your own lie.
I
was like, okay, sis, I got you. Okay,
I
you know what I'm saying? I see you. Okay, I got you.
Keep that same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Yeah. And none of them did.
Yeah,
none of them kept that energy.
None of them did. But
none of them.
It's all good though.
It's absolutely all good. No, it's sincerely, like, out of all true honesty, if I saw any of them, it would be, and not on some like, look at us, we still doing good. Like, no, like, hey, girl. Man. Like, yeah, me falling with Namdi and fornicating and get pregnant is the same sin of you judging us and kicking us down and spreading rumors and being gossip. Like, we all need grace, and I forgive you.
Yeah, because, those same people, the only, what we finally came to realize was, a lot of the people that even would slander us or anything were doing the same thing behind closed doors. We just had the evidence of it, which was the baby bump.
Oh, like smashing?
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. So it was just like a good amount. So I'm just like,
not now one of them was virgins or abstaining.
Yeah, a good amount.
Like, come on.
Now, the great thing about us going through that controversy is now that we can be there for those who go through that, who goes through slander from their church home or that kind of rejection or. Yeah, they don't really treat me the same no more. Hey, listen, anybody know your heart who knows your pain? You're looking at both of them right here. We don't have a perfect story, man. We were treated in the wrong way, point blank. It does not matter, and people can say whatever, however they feel about it. They have their way of looking at it. I can tell you from this side, it wasn't that pure of love that came from the church at that time.
Yeah.
For some who wasn't as strong in the faith as what we were, they would have walked away. But that's what many of them actually do. Yeah, most of them do when they have this type of situation. They walk on way. They go back to the club. They go back to doing what they doing. They become a 5%er, Nation of Islam, or they go, whatever. They go get into all these other things, crystals and African nations or whatever. So. That ain't what happened with us. So that's just kind of the controversy in closing of what happened on that part.
In a very short way of saying it.
Yeah.
Y'all let us know if y'all want part 2 of that.
Part 2 of that.
Because it goes further and wider. Yeah. The things that were, being in places where I remember being at a nail shop. Getting my nails done. And a young lady came up to me and told me that there were people trying to stop me from getting an interview on the radio because of getting pregnant with Namdi, y'all. Yep. No cap. Yeah, I was told that.
Yep.
And this person was close.
Yes.
Close to the pastor.
Yes.
Close to the circle.
Be in our face. Hey, all
in our face all the time.
Crazy stuff.
I remember going home like, we are getting out of here. If these ain't gonna keep it 100, we're done. Like, I'm tired of confronting people and everybody kept like, no, it wasn't that. Because we had conversations with people. We pulled people aside. We had phone calls. Everybody kept. Nobody kept it 100. Like, nah, that made me feel some type of way.
I had only one guy who really kept it 100 when we had a conversation with him and his wife. And he was like, and he was just like, man, listen. He said he was an OG though. He was an OG though. So it took some maturity of a person to say this. But he's like, man, listen, when everything was going on, he said, I was a coward. I should have called you, man. He said, I knew you, man, and I felt some things wasn't necessarily right. He said, I felt it then, and I just didn't do it, man. Forgive me, man. He said, I was a coward for that, man.
That was your experience.
And that was so much, like, I love him for that forever, for just that right there, being real and being a real man about that.
Our experiences are different. Nnamdi definitely got more love, more phone calls.
Yeah, that's a whole...
Yeah,
that was go into that.
That was my experience.
All right, so y'all walked through the valley of controversy and when it strikes. So, babe, we eventually, though, it's another side. We eventually got married.
Yes.
So, I guess I can kind of backtrack here.
Yeah.
So, I eventually proposed, I believe it was April?
Mm-hmm.
April 2016, I proposed. I knew that she could be my wife. I knew that when we were talking on that couch and I started to have feelings and it's like, man, this woman is dope. So even before we even touched, I was like, man, I want to pursue her, but I'm gonna have to wait. I wanted to get to like a certain amount of money. I just felt like she just seemed like this type of girl that you just had to have. Like you just had to make sure you correct. I wanted to step correct with doing that. So fast forward, once all this happened, I went ahead and proposed to her. And I just knew I wanted her to be my wife. I did take you through a lot of drill sessions though.
Yes.
It took you through a lot of drill sessions as far as things go. And and so I didn't know if you were ready for marriage. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know mind you, this time you're now 22, I'm 30. And I had to take into account that my wife, even though she was you was very mature for your age. You're like, hold up, Nnamdi, hold on. That's 8-year difference. No. You really she grew up. Tell them how you grew up around.
Just let them. You ain't gotta tell them all.
No,
that.
I'm just saying.
You
but
you very a young tender.
No.
You ain't gotta give all these daggone disclaimers. Nnamdi, if y'all have not noticed, he is a disclaimer king.
I gotta do it all
day. He literally just said, I sing, or you said we both are musicians, but I just don't do it that much. You didn't have to say that on the end. We're both musicians.
Yeah, we are both musicians.
That's just that. Yeah. I married a younger woman. Yeah. It's just that. I ain't gotta tell them.
Either way, you were a dope individual overall. But I didn't know, based off of some stats, I had listened to this sermon by Chip Ingram one time. And he was talking about the stats of that a non-Christian organization did about basically if your parents had divorces and all that and what the stats were. And it was about, we had basically a 200% chance of not making it through marriage.
I remember him telling me that.
And so I was just like, listen, I would drill you like, man, are you sure? Because you already don't like sometimes when I be this or that. And I'm like, are you sure? Because even though I hadn't proposed to you at this time, yeah, I know we had been talking about marriage because obviously you're pregnant and we both wanted that eventually. And so I drilled it for it. Anyway, eventually was like, yeah, she's the one. Let me go ahead and did it. Got the blessing from her dad, her mom. Her dad was even with me when I went and got the ring. Shout out to Mr. Lee. Amazing step. He's definitely amazing father-in-law. And anyway, we went ahead and I proposed to you, and we moved along and eventually went through marriage counseling. You want to interject anything there, babe?
Yeah. He proposed to me at 54th Street.
Yes.
In front of my family.
Yes.
I literally knew it was going to happen because my sister don't know how to keep a secret.
They pressed me to do it right then and there because I wasn't going to do it then and there. But anyway.
Yeah.
They pressed me so hard.
That's another thing. Ladies or gentlemen, please don't propose to your fiance when her nails are not done in at 54th Street.
I didn't your nails were done?
My nails were not done. I looked a mess. We were eating hot wings, so that was in the pictures of the proposal.
Oh, Lord.
It was so bad. Now that we can be free and say that, it was horrible, actually.
Our marriage is dope.
Marriage is dope. Proposal was a 2.
Okay, failure.
2 out of 10. Yeah, I was just like, why did you let them do that? You know me. You know I needed my hair and nails done.
They was whispering.
And I was so pregnant, y'all. Y'all know how you get the dark mask on your face and your neck? Like I looked disgusting in those pictures. Like yuck. Praise God. Whatever. But wait, what part were you at?
So just kind of like I proposed after that. I mean, we got to go into marriage counseling.
Oh, marriage counseling, yes. And it's so funny because in our marriage counseling sessions, they told us that the past church that we were at that was the one issue that they saw.
Yeah, they said just
they was like, everything else, y'all good. Like, y'all agree on money, y'all agree on kids, y'all agree on, y'all got y'all foundation, y'all seem like y'all friends, y'all do the same thing in ministry. Like, he was like, but this one thing is gonna be a problem.
And particularly was talking to me like, Nnamdi, that's gonna be
the problem.
That's gonna be your issue.
And it was that literally all the way up until a year ago.
I was in love with my own church. I ain't gonna know. That's just who I was. Yeah.
Yeah. But anywho, fast forward, we got married.
Yeah.
And the wedding was
the ceremony was dope. The reception definitely needs some work.
We didn't have water in our bowl to wash each other's hands and feet.
Oh, they had to go get it and we had to wait.
And it was awkward. My wedding song did not play.
Yeah.
So they had to play the key. Are we going?
Yeah, it is what it is. But
that is what happened. Got married. Ceremony was aight. Honeymoon night. Because the ceremony kind of was a little disastrous. I remember crying our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And then the first year was just rocky. You want to interject?
No, I mean, to give a brighter side. Listen, like I remember we were complaining about our marriage on the way to the hotel, and I remember my bro Demetric stopping us.
We were complaining about our marriage?
But not the marriage. I'm sorry, the wedding.
Oh, okay.
And I remember him being like stopping us, like, "Hey, y'all know, like, I ain't gonna lie, from outside looking in, it actually was a pretty good wedding." He said, "That's all my notes." So somebody thought it was okay. We didn't. It wasn't to what we really would liked and hoped for.
And not only that, like I felt very much unloved. I was on the floor with my wedding dress on.
It was had to do with who was coordinating your family. It's a whole nother deal.
Yeah, that's a whole nother deal as well. But first year of marriage, I think for me, it was just like I was thrown into 2 baby mamas. Neither one of them liked me. I have a new baby and it was just a lot. And like, I'm still trying to get to know you. And like, it was just a lot at one time. And I think even when you were talking about how you were drilling me, I won't use that. He was interviewing me and like asking me specific questions on how I would be as a wife. My answers were just to please you and just to be like, we getting married though. Like that was just to be honest because so
you was selling me.
Definitely.
Dang.
Because you had already been in the process about to get married prior to me with your ex.
Yeah.
And so you had already been down this. I didn't know what my non-negotiables were. I didn't know any of this. And it's so crazy because like looking back, hearing how women talk about like, you need to know this before you get married. You need to know this and that. And it's like, but I change every 5 years. So like what happens? Like my non-negotiables could change every 5 years. My this and that. So I didn't feel like, yes, I do think it's important to have him.
Yeah,
yes.
For sure.
Absolutely. But I do not regret marrying young. I do not regret marrying, obviously you, but I just don't regret any of it. I'm like, I am blessed and honored to like stumble and grow through it with you. But the first year I would say the first and second and third year honestly was hard because of the quote unquote scandal that we went through. And the self-inflicted shame that we went through. And so that was our biggest disagreement. Like I did not want to go there. That was his spiritual father. I did not want to be a part of it. That was his family. I don't want to go. That's where you're learning. And so even when we attempted to go to different churches, I could tell Nnamdi was spiritually dying. And so it got to the place where eventually, I was just like, let's just go back. If you won't act like this at any other church, like this is the only church in the entire state of or the universe that can make you grow, then let's just go. We ended up going back. We both learned a big lesson, and then left. And then, am I jumping stories?
No, I think you said it like the beginning of marriage, like you said, just to kind of interject there, like it was rocky. Definitely for the first few years.
Yes.
This is why we always tell people, listen, don't do this out of order.
Oh, and just mind you,
ahead, baby.
I'm so sorry. In the midst of that, also having custody battles.
Yes, I'm also going
crazy ones.
Yeah, because it turned up. Once we got married, it turned up. And mind you, I hadn't been touching my kids' moms. Nothing wasn't like I was playing with their heart. None of that stuff. I don't play that. Like those deals had been sealed a long time before she even came around. But yeah, it turned up heavy at that time. So going through the shame, all that. But again, not just saying with our situation, yes, it's definitely a particular unique situation, but that's why we also say just, hey, do stuff in order.
Yes.
Because at the time we going through shame and custody battles and just trying to figure out each other, all of that. I'm still trying to figure out overall you and your emotions and just trying to merge these things. That merging, I don't care even if you were abstaining or anything like that and y'all had never known each other sexually before. That merging when you first coming together can be a rough patch for anybody.
Very.
Okay, doesn't matter. Not to mention if you want to put extra stuff on top of that. And why I say, hey, don't jump in that bed before y'all married and all that. As much as you just try your best, make sure you put those layers, is because all the things that you could have been doing while y'all was getting it on, you're going to have to now work on in marriage. And you may uncover some things that are like, dang, I don't know if I would have did it, or I maybe would have talked about that a little bit more in counseling if I knew that. And so we're going through all those things, but I believe you handled it well. Even so? Like eventually, I mean, just all the transition.
I was drowning. I was drowning.
You went hard for a good minute. Yeah. We had some very, very, very bad arguments. When I knew, though, I was in when I knew, because when I knew I found the right one, like for definitely. I mean, I already knew that, but it solidified it so much. Is when I was ready to go because of an argument, I thought it was over. Every time we got in an argument, I just thought it was over. Point blank.
Lord.
I just thought, okay, she's
y'all,
done.
I had to let this man know. I don't know what you think this is.
Yeah.
This ain't that. It's like you don't get an argument with me and get to leave me. That's not happening.
Yeah, I thought it was over right away.
Yeah, that's not.
My mindset was she gonna leave me eventually. So I might as well leave her first. Let me try and forget it. Everybody thought I did something wrong and failed anyway. So let them talk anyway. So I was ready to go.
We had some really low conversations.
Yeah,
some really low vibrational conversations.
Yeah, right. And so I'm just grateful though that again I had somebody who was submitted that was just like, no, we made a covenant for God. Like we're not about to do that. We not like that's who you need. That's why I say, hey, be submitted to Jesus before you be submitted to this person. Yeah. Because guess what? They gonna fail you. You ain't gonna like them. You gonna be ready to leave them. That's gonna happen. Yep. I don't care who it is. I don't care how dope y'all been living together for forever and y'all been going to the club together. Y'all been good. Wait till y'all get married.
Oh God.
That's when everything hit. Everything. Like, hold on, how did we live together for this long and we didn't? I seen it so many daggone times. But anyway, you really was like, no, we're not doing that. You just, we had our conversations, and eventually, seeking counsel and all those things, but and got to a brighter side.
And I always say this, and I'm glad you don't feel no type of way, but I did not fully, and it's a reason. There's a reason behind what I'm about to say. I did not fall in love until year 3. I was drowning in the fog. Yeah. I could not see you. I couldn't see you. It was so much it was like we were fighting against them for so long that we didn't have the moment to be like,
really just stop, like, look at each other.
Wait a minute, you're fire.
Yeah.
Like
I think.
And that didn't happen until year 3 because year 1 and 2 was just hell. It was just chaos. It was custody battles. It was lying and the scandals and the rumors. And then I see you crying in a corner in the prayer room and I'm crying and we both depressed and we both got suicidal thoughts, but we raising children in the midst of this and I'm learning how to cook in the midst of this and I'm cleaning the house in the midst of this. I'm also recording and rapping and performing in the midst of it. Like, It was so foggy.
It was tough, and we didn't have, at first we didn't really have anybody to reach to that we could trust.
None.
Because we had, where we came from, it was so many that was against us.
Yeah,
we didn't even want to
that.
let people in on that we maybe had some issues or anything like that.
Even though they knew, I'm
sure they probably knew. I mean, that we were going to have issues. I mean, you do it like that, I don't care. I can tell if somebody does it, out of order. Hey, they're going to have some big time issues, but we didn't have that. So all we had was God. Yeah. Like I told somebody this the other day, I was helping somebody else out with their marriage, and I was like, man, let me tell you, listen, you got me. You can holler at me. You could call me whenever. But I said, listen, bruh. I said, when it was me and my wife, we didn't have nobody but the Holy Spirit.
Literally.
Heavenly Father, deal with her. Because I didn't have literally, just think about it. Nobody to vent to. Nope. I didn't call none of my homies. I couldn't tell. Couldn't trust nobody. Because I knew that most people believe that, first off, y'all, this was out of order. Y'all moved too fast. They wasn't down for us. We would say probably respectively that our families wouldn't care for if we got the D word either.
I mean, it was just so common in my family.
Yeah, it was in mine too. My family's the type, hey, you can't get down the road. Hey, you gotta go. We holler at you. Yeah. So we didn't really have that. But thinking about when the breakthrough came, baby, when you said year 3, I think about it. That was our first trip out of the country, I believe. No, hold up. That might have been 2000.
We got married 16?
Maybe 17? Hold on. When I took over that store. That might have been 17. No, or 18. It might have been 18 or 19. It's around 18 or 19. Yeah, Aruba.
Okay.
That might have been beautiful. Amazing.
The trip was great.
Get there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's one of the first time we breathed and was just like,
wow.
Yeah. Like you mine, and you really dope, and you really cool.
Yeah.
Like you actually cool. Like wow, what be
going
on here?
Yeah, what's going on?
Like as soon as we got away, and
yeah,
I mean that's just so big, man. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to step away. Sometimes you need to just have a trip. That's why I believe in one thing that we're pressing for eventually in our lives is quarterly trips that you should have. So I think that's kind of going through that and that's how the stage gone. So
yeah, so that was year 1 to 3, and it was foggy, but it gets better.
Yeah, it gets better. So I guess that would lead us into, babe, what we call the freedom stage.
My God.
Thank God.
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
He's so good.
He is so good. Let me tell you, he will hear your cries.
Yes, he will.
And listen, if you go to him in repentance,
yes,
like really repent it, and you turn away from your sins,
so good.
Let me tell you, he will show his grace and his mercy on your situation. I believe he will. And so he's definitely shown that with us. I believe the freedom stage began in 2020.
Yes, it did.
Beginning of 2020.
Yes.
That was the first time I started to open my eyes that, hey,
yes,
maybe this isn't the best situation for us. I started to be open to it, and eventually had someone who actually, counseled us. The man say, hey, I need to talk to you separately. I want to talk to you.
You still never told me what happened in that conversation.
Well, I mean, man,
what he say?
He's cold. Number
Tell me
one.
What he said.
He's cold. Number one.
Tell
you know who you are. You know who you are. I love you, brother.
I want to know what your conversation was like.
But it just was a straight man to man. Like, hey, and it came back around. Like, hey, bro. He was so good at using his words. He didn't tell me what to do. He just told me, hey, you might want to. Like, a great counselor doesn't tell you. They kind of lead you.
Because that's a dictator.
Yeah, that's a dictator. They kind of lead you and ask you the questions to eventually get you to think and get you to the answer. And so he was just like, hey, man, I know you love church. Listen, it's maybe something that you want to look at. So that's all I'm going to say. And that was one of his things. And just some other man things that I should just been on. Because 2020 brought just a lot of revelation. So, yeah, that conversation. And I believe also freedom came and I started to just know, listen, I cannot live. This is me personally, by the way. I could not live under this condemnation for so long. I got to really start to let this go.
Yeah.
2020, beginning of 2020, I lost a good friend of mine, Jeff Jones, and I won't forget Jeff. Jeff, God rest his soul, was just so full of light. And he had came back around, and it just seemed like it was just this prophetic way that he came. And it was some things that he left that I won't forget that he said to me. before things happened, I was talking to him about the situation. He was like, "Hey man, listen, forget those people. Like, are you serious, man? I don't know what you talking about. I'm gonna tell you now. What you got in there, your wife, man. What y'all got is dope. Just telling me and speaking life into me. And so when he passed, I was just like, okay, life is short. COVID came. People is passing. Okay." What are we doing? You gonna sit up under this forever?
Yeah.
No, we gotta start to shake and maybe start to look at some different moves. And that was kind of the beginning of the process there.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the freedom stage because we had to sit down. Y'all know what happened in 2020. So we had to sit our tails down. Yeah. And for me, not going to that church was like I was able to breathe again. Like that's all I remember, like being able to just like. And I remember because they had online services as well. I remember being so detached. I'm like,
yeah, you hated it. You was like, I'm like, where you going? You in there making coffee. I was like, so you ain't go.
And now I'm in the front room jumping, hands up. I'm like, look, I know I probably don't look saved right now, but I am not interested. And it wasn't even about me not being interested in church, clearly. I was just so disconnected from that place. Like, I'm like, what is church if there is no love? Yeah. Like, what am I doing? Like, this don't make... And I was so disconnected. And it was, like, not good at that time either. But,
I think it was like got to 2021. It was really... Yeah,
Yeah, and so... We had some friends come over.
Which one?
And
the married couples?
The Divine Disruptor.
Oh yeah. That definitely.
We had some friends come over, and the wife was like on our head.
I'm gonna shout them out because they you deserve this love. Shout out Kiana Jones, Mark Jones. Love y'all straight up. Been around forever, but sis came and for some reason she wrecked shop. That's what she did.
And that was her second time doing that in our lives as well. But definitely. I remember just being on the phone with her for hours, walking around in the garage, and she's just pouring into me like, and she's also like a little hood at the same time. So it's like, girl, first of all, I can
educated
tell you,
but got that hood swing.
Yeah, but it was my language. Like it wasn't really deep and spiritual. Like, well, that's the man of God, and that's the man of that. Like she didn't give me like you need to follow his lead. It's like no, y'all are fine. Like y'all deserve better. Like you don't have to be. Who told y'all that's what y'all gotta do? Like, and it was just it was simple, but it was when you're just drowning and stuff. You just need somebody to pick you up. Just be like, turn around, look at this around you. And so after that happened, I ended up having a conversation with you.
Ooh. Yeah, this is 2021.
Yeah, I ended up having a conversation with you, and I was like, I asked you a very simple question.
Yeah.
And
won't ever forget that.
I asked a very simple question. I mean, the simple question was, do you trust these people with our marriage?
Yes.
And his immediate, no thought. It was like, even you did kind of like a no. And I said, so why are we here? Like, what are we doing? And this is the biggest area of our lives that we need guidance on, but you don't trust them to go to them. Like, that's a problem. And so, I thought the conversation went well. Namdi said it didn't.
Yeah, that's the way you went about it, but that's a whole nother.
You ended up having a conversation with the pastor properly.
Yeah, definitely.
Leaving properly.
Had to.
And it was like that. It was almost, I don't know what the analogy or whatever is, but it was like that last thing. It was closed.
It was immediate.
Like like Satan, you no longer have that.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to hold that over our head because that was every argument in our household. Like at least 90% of it, like you just you just want to be in there with them. Like that was almost every argument.
Had something and we got back to that.
Yes, we shut the door dead on the enemy's face when we left. And that's why it's so sad that people feel any type of way still because that was the decision
we had to do that.
We had to make for ourselves. Not only spiritually, and I think it's evident that we've grown since then, but also mentally. Like the bondage that we were in, even when I think about our gifts and like how we've become more confident when it comes to I was just talking to Francesca about this. we love Eva and Brooklyn, which is our daughters, into excellence. We love them into it. If you want to be great, we are led by God's children. How we are created, we're led by love. That's how Jesus, the little imperfections that we have, the things that got to be moved out of our life, it's not done by bashing and shaming and putting condemnation on us, but he loves us so much. It's like, I want to get rid of this. I don't want to do that. I just because you love me so much, I know I'm sleepy, but I'm gonna wash the dishes because I love you so much. Because I love you so much, I'm gonna vacuum and I'm exhausted. Like it was love that we needed. It was love that we were searching for and we weren't getting it. And it wasn't until we made the decision to shut the door on Satan's face, because forget the people, that was the enemy. Forget faces, that was the enemy. Forget persons, that was the enemy. We shut the door. And from the moment of leaving that church, again, that I wanted to make that clear. It wasn't just leaving this church or leaving these people. It was shutting the door to the baggage of what came attached to our sin from 8 years ago that the enemy tried to trickle along all those years. And so it was that one decision. So and I just want to say this too. If y'all seeing people and y'all don't agree with it, y'all don't agree with a decision that they are making, you don't know why.
Come on.
You don't know the what. You don't know the contemplation. We contemplated for years. We didn't hop and leave and dip out with no explanation. We tried, and people they can't lie. It's evidence that we've tried and we fought and we had conversations and we love and we were repentive. We were not coming in boastful like, man, y'all gonna love us. I don't care. That's what we did. It is what it. No, humility, because we were told that by the pastor. Like, y'all walk in such humility. Y'all walk in such, like, that's what we did. But after a while, it was like, so it's not working.
I had to do, I think at that time, even, and that's what I told my pastor at that time, was like, man, I think Lord is tapping me, like this is the point where you have led me this far. I told him, to that pastor, I said, but it's now, he said, I gotta go along this way. You've given me what I needed from there, and I appreciate him from this day. I won't ever forget the things that he's taught me, and he helped me, and
you're such an honorable
in that process of discipleship. Even though we don't agree on some things, even though there's some conversation that probably need to be had even after that, because of some things that have been said through the grapevine. But at the end of the day, I still honor. That's like, at the end of the day, I gotta honor somebody who has sowed good seeds into me that you now see some fruit from, because I seen integrity, because that man walked how he walked with his wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to see that. Like, you don't even get the type of version that you have of me, because I didn't learn that just from the Bible. I learned it from somebody walking out the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And then, so from seeing him do that, seeing other men, the deacons there, all those that were doing that, that is what showed me how to be the husband that I am to you today. And so I'm grateful for that. But I told him, like, it was that time, and immediately I
pray that I can have as much maturity, because it's just so many things that you can do to me that I will lose honor for you.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. Like, when you start bashing it, I say this to any friend. I remember I said this to Aaliyah the other day. I said, you got two things that will strike you out in my mental, which is my husband, if you speak on him, if you try anything against him, and my kids. And so that's a lot of humility, because it's just some things I
don't mean I agree with things.
Honor gets taken away. I'm like,
that we're right now in a cool place and none of that.
I don't
my wife's getting something off my face every single time that we have an episode.
Well, you better be thankful, because I went a whole episode with something on my cheek.
And y'all probably never saw it.
Yes, ever. I was editing in the room. I'm like, wow, Namdi, you don't even look at me. So, but no, that was a compliment. Yeah. Like, I'm not, it's okay for me to go on this tangent, babe. That was a compliment, because and I have to, like, now you got me asking God, like, is there a thing where I got to keep honor for people? Because I also don't have the same relationship you had with them, but
that's a whole different relationship. That's something that I ain't shouting. That's a whole nother relationship. So
I'm not shouting nobody else.
I ain't shouting them. They know who they are. That's about it. So, and the people that know us from there know who I'm talking about. That's about it. And so that's all that needs to be said, is that, hey, and I told him in that conversation, I'm grateful.
One of the things that stood out to me about you in that season, and it's still happening, and like I feel like it's another layer that actually just happened. I remember I asked you not too long. I said, babe, do you know you're changing? Yeah. I was like, do you feel it? Uh-huh. Like, can you see that? Yeah. But even back then, when you made that decision, you changed.
Yeah.
Like, it was no longer like this. It was just another level of confidence. Yeah. It was another level of hope. Like, you had to go get that for yourself.
No, I needed to. I needed to. And so that's why
I'm sorry, I did not mean
to. No, you're good.
You know how I'm
That's why
something be in my head.
I prayed and I hope that he had took that conversation that way. Because, I know sometimes pastors can feel away when you're leaving and all of that stuff. But it was like, no, I have to go get this for me. Like, I got to. For me and my wife and my kids. And for me to be the best that I can be. I've served here and all that. So anyway, soon as we broke that off, man.
But that's what I was talking about, like the freedom.
True free, like right away, the cloud. It felt like the cloud was lifted.
No, seriously.
And so we had made the decision thereafter to eventually move to Atlanta. That was our decision after that. To make that move.
Because now we feel like there was no other churches in Kansas City too.
I mean, hey, shout out to, all those who do ministry in KC, but KC is a small town.
Yeah, it's so small.
You can only pick so much from that buffet.
It's so small.
I said, guess what? If we go, well, number one, we already talked about why we moved here. You're being the artist that you are and all that, but also just so many different things, diversity, all those things. But that diversity here allows you to pick from so many churches.
Yes.
It's so big. I mean, it's a church everywhere. We thought we was going to be on a tour for a year.
Yeah, good year.
But, back to that freedom stage, man, I believe our marriage went to another level. I believe that she was able to start to trust me a bit more. Because even when I told her I was going to have the conversation, I don't think she necessarily believed it right away. I remember about to walk to have her. She said, "What you about to do?" I said, "I'm about to go call." She's like, "Oh, you doing that tonight?" Like, yeah, I'm about to go make this.
I was like, "Oh yes, Daddy, that's how I like you to talk."
Like, I had to do this because also I knew at this time I had been selfish. I had put my wife in a place where she was not honored. I put her in a place where she was not celebrated. And I apologize to her, baby. I apologize to you now.
Man, why you never make me cry?
Oh, baby, don't do that. That just you're such a light. You're so amazing. And I allowed that light to be dimmed in a place to where they didn't understand, like just how bright of a star you are. And they just couldn't see it past the flaw and the mistake that you made there. Most couldn't see it. And so I'm sorry for that. I publicly say that. And I want you to know that you should have never been there. I did not protect you in that season.
My God.
You understand? And you deserve to be protected as much as you stood up for me. Like, you deserve that. And so I apologize sincerely. I said that privately, but I wanted to publicly say that because there are some who knew our story and used to that was out on the outside and was like, why in the heck would you ever send your wife through that? Like, why in the heck? And I was, man, I ain't gonna lie, I was gone, man. I just didn't see. I just couldn't see. I was foggy, but the Lord opened my eyes. Thank God for the Holy Spirit that He spoke to me and said, hey man, your time is up here. And so again, I wanted to do that for you, baby, because I said, you know what, moving forward, I got it's what my wife wants. You feel me? Like I went and took we went back for maybe 2.5, almost 3. I took that from her. We could have been who knows where with it. Right. But I stalled us here. Now maybe don't get it wrong, God used that time, but we might have been overdue. We might have been just a little bit past due, maybe a year past due or so. And I stuck us there when we should have been moving on and growing and stalled us. And so I said, hey, what did you want? Okay, this what you like? Okay, we gonna move. Let's make the move. Why don't we just move? Yeah. Like, for real? Like, yes, let's just do it. And we did it. And I'm great. And I'm glad because now there's been so much freedom on this side. It's just not about a move. So don't get this wrong that you gonna move and you just gonna feel this automatic freedom. It wasn't about that. It was something unique for us.
And it's
so much in
also
the city, we had to leave.
And we also made the decision before we moved.
Yeah.
We also like started walking in freedom before we actually left the city.
The church. We had already made the decision to leave the church
Kansas
before
City, we already were walking. So even if you're thinking about moving to start all over, you got to start all over before you start all over. Like mentally, you got to do that. And so just saying that we mentally were done.
We was already done.
Yeah, we were done.
We was about to go to one of our friends' church. We was thinking about it, and then we kind of figured out that they were on the outs.
Yeah.
You know, and that they weren't going to be staying at their church. So we were like, okay, what do we do now? So
I want to speak on.
Go ahead, baby.
I'm sorry if you're done. Jesus, Lord have mercy. You got it. You okay?
No, my phone was dropping.
Leaving opened my eyes to such a trigger. Like it made me aware of a trigger of mine, and one of them is realizing that I didn't feel and I'll talk about you, like prior, like I've never really felt fought for or protected, and like people really stood up for me. And so that was leaving it again. This is why we say it's bigger than that, y'all. Like for those that, if y'all watching and y'all still belong and y'all know who y'all are, and y'all, it was way bigger than that. Like it was just way bigger. But in that process, the Lord began to just expose some triggers of mine and some trauma of mine that had happened growing up. And so it was really big to me when you did apologize to me. You said the words, I was selfish. You said the words. And I remember, that's what I was talking about with you. When I noticed the difference, you was like, you'll never not feel unprotected, or you'll never not feel unprotected. Yeah, unprotected again. Like you won't experience that with me anymore. And I remember that moment being so, because it was like, this is the first time in my life. Yeah. And so it was like, finally I was able to, not only able to be my full flamboyant self, but I was able to be that with protection. Yeah. And it was just such a beautiful journey. And it still is such a beautiful journey. Like the way that I have fallen in love with you and watch you transform and watch you grow up and watch you mature and watch you lead and take charge and just watch. I mean, you've always had integrity, but just making hard decisions like this year has been really bizarre for us. Like the decisions we've been making lately on like just
these are being like
standing our ground on stuff. It's our boundary. We said no. Like that's not what we're doing.
Our no is our no.
Our no is our no. Like we've been and I think that comes from feeling like we wasted time.
Yeah, we got no more.
So we don't got no more to waste. Like, and I remember you was just talking about this today. I'm like, baby, time is so valuable to me. Like I ain't got time to be in anything and wasting my time if it's not productive.
I got time to be nowhere where you're not celebrated. Where you just tolerated.
No, ma'am.
Why would I be there?
Why would I be involved in a place where I'm freely giving my service, voluntarily giving myself to a place with no love, with no celebration, with no honor? Like, no. And so not even just that, skip the church, friendships, opportunities. Like, if it don't make sense, it don't make sense.
My family.
Oh my God.
If your family ain't going, like, if they not going to see the gift. You know what I'm saying? If they can't honor your gift, you gotta sometimes detach from those who your blood. They may feel, we blood. What you mean? Like you ain't? No, I mean, hey, we not on the same page. Yeah. Like what I'm about to sit here all day, you gonna be saying a bunch of conflicting things that don't have opposite from what I believe. Yeah. Like that, we're what's the point?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be around those that are along the path that where I'm going. Yes. Okay. Now don't get it wrong. I'm gonna make a visit back to my family. I'm gonna say what's up. I'm gonna chill with you for a little bit, but I can't have that. I can't spend my time
Everyone
there.
Doesn't get access to the new you.
People don't. Not everybody needs access to your next level. Not everybody has. That's what we've learned now.
And that's not on some like, we got like to
bigger or anything like that.
We wasted time.
Yes.
We wasted 2 to 3 years in places of with people and fighting for relationships that was never ordained to be in our life. And so when if y'all see us being adamant about these type of things, it comes from an experience of wasting time. And when you've wasted time and you know you don't get that back, you kind of don't play with time no more.
Nope.
Like you don't play with it no more. And I'm just so honored as we wrap this up.
Yeah, so
honored to do this life with you, to be on this journey of freedom with you, and we're both just growing and evolving into who we are individually, into what God has called us to be, but in purpose together in marriage has been so fire. And when it like, y'all, when I say that thing went from bad to like phenomenal, from our finances to our intimacy to our communication, like I'm like, how are you getting sexier? How is it getting better?
It's getting better and better. I'm not gonna lie, and this is why I say to those like maybe you're in your first year, maybe in your first 3 years, maybe you're just going through a rough patch in your marriage. Man, get past that hump.
Yeah.
Because on the other side of that, for those who are in Christ, on the other side of that,
come on, for those who are in Christ,
it's so much better. The enemy will trick your mind into thinking that grass is greener, that it's gonna be better, that I need to do away with this stuff. No, stick in there, man. We couldn't tell y'all some of the bad the bad arguments that we had in our first 3 years. I mean, there were some very bad ones. And to be honest with you, without proper counsel of people coming in to let us know, hey, y'all not that bad.
Yeah.
That's what really took it, because we thought we was just terrible.
And we got that every counseling session.
Yeah, like,
y'all know y'all not that bad.
Yeah, it's just that you needed a fresh perspective, but we never had nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
It was me, her, the Holy Spirit. Like that's it.
It was very normal marital things.
Yeah, very normal.
I need him to do this, he's not doing it. I need her to do this, she's not doing it. Like very, 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 very. There was no scandals. He ain't on the phone late night with some female. I'm doing weird things. It was very
you
normal.
might be dealing with some other. If y'all in that, that's a different thing. Y'all need to deal with some other things. But I think in closing, really to talk about just the beauty that we found with our love. One of the things, and I guess I'll kind of start this off in closing, babe, is that I found in our love is that I found. First off, number one, my best friend. Man, I think that if most people who are in a healthy marriage, they would say that their wife or their husband is their best friend. I mean, I could kick it with her.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm a blast.
Man, you're amazing. You're
so
amazing.
Fun.
So it's like it's my homie. Like, but
literally.
at the same time, I get to get to have a late night together and all that. Like. It's just amazing doing life with you. It's so amazing doing life with her. And so that's big. It's something to look forward to. Like when I'm working hard, I know I'm working hard, and I'm going home to just a loving smile and a gentle touch, a uplifting word, a woman who's going to pray over me. I mean, let me help y'all. Because we gave y'all so much of the nightmare in the first 1 to 3 years. But what I might have felt to tell you is in those first 1 to 3 years that we was going through that, at the same time, sometimes I would wake up and she was praying over me, oil my head.
Yeah.
So don't like, we gave y'all like, man, that sounds like a trip. Like, when did y'all have any good? It was some ups in that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
At the same time, again, we were praying.
Yeah.
We were submitted to the Lord. She's praying over me. I'm waking up. I'm praying over her sometimes.
Yes.
Like, we were looking at sermons.
Yes.
That's
so good to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Through those years of sadness and fogginess, we were both, and we say this all the time, like we individually had anchored relationships with God. Like we did not play. He was in his word and he was worshiping. I was in the front room on my face. Man. He would go to sleep. Sometimes even after we, worship the Lord,
you would get up and
I would get up and go pray, thank Him for that moment that just happened. But then also because I know we were in a war at that moment, rebuke some stuff and get back in my prayer bag. And so yes, I'm so glad you point that out because we don't want to give y'all false hope.
Yeah.
We don't want to say, oh, you can do these things and you can do it the wrong way. And God is, yes, we are the example of grace, but it's also filled with grace because of obedience. I was reading today. Oh my gosh, what was the word? First of all, the Lord gave me a word for the week, which is abide. It's me and Francesca's devotion. I forgot the word, but it just talked about consistently, without ceasing, without stopping, consistently speaking to the Lord. And whether we was like deep in a big theological study, one thing we did not stop doing is sending our supplications and our requests to God.
Real talk.
Lord, help me, show me myself, help that man to get up and be a better man today. Like, we never stop. So I just wanted to say that. Yes, that's a good point. Don't think you, like, people can quote, all things work together for my good, but you forget the second half, according to his will. If you're obedient, if you're in alignment with him, like it's not just the good things and the riches and the glory. Like there's it's a two-way street, right? It's a two-way, relationship. You got to do your part too. So you got to make sure you're not only praying, reading a word, but you're repenting. I'm sorry. That went
No, give it to him because somebody needs it, and I pray it blesses them. But overall, in our love, overall in our love, what I also found is a mirror. Somebody, I believe I heard Tim Ross say that one time, like marriage is a mirror and it's real. Because I thought about how some things I did not see. I didn't see blind spots in myself. I didn't see what I needed to work on. Okay, because she had to push me like, oh no, you the man. You need to make that decision. Oh no, you the man. You supposed to be protecting here. Oh no. This is how you supposed to. Sometimes my wife had to tell me that thing. Listen, I didn't grow up seeing a husband in the house. Hey Junior, this is how you do that. No, I didn't see that. I didn't have that. So I had to learn these things from what I saw and sermons and reading the scriptures. That's all I could. And sometimes my wife had to tell me my blind spots. So I was grateful for that. But she also, what I love about her is that she showed me you know that you're great at this. Yeah. You know you could do better at this. And sometimes, to be honest with y'all pray for me. I still don't listen on some stuff. Sometimes I still don't listen. My wife, she's got so much wisdom.
I told you so. Because he don't listen. Yeah. Like, I don't say I told you so to nobody else. Yeah. But Nandi don't be listening. I'll be like, I told you.
Yeah, she's the one who pushes me. She's pushed me further into doing what I'm doing here. Yeah, and then somebody hits me with a message like, hey man, what you said bless me. And that's all I want to do. I don't want nobody to feel what we felt. Nobody should ever go through that. Nobody should ever go through those things and people not be there for them, or hey, don't have somebody that they can look to that's imperfect and say, hey, I can identify with you. I had a child out of wedlock. I got a couple baby mamas, or I got one, or whatever. I've been in this situation. I stand here to be like, listen, man, God got me through, so He can get you through. And so there's so much beauty on this side of it. And all I can say is I am so excited to continue to do life with her. We haven't even scratched the surface. We about to only be in 7 years. Yeah. You feel me? But it's about to get better, and I believe it's going to get better and better. And there'll be trials and tribulations? Yes, there will be. We've already just went through one. But man, to have a woman by your side, like what I got, is so amazing. It's the biggest blessing next to my salvation that I've had. Amen. Point blank. Period.
Beauty. Is that what we're talking about?
Just the beauty of the overall. Things that we found in our love, the beautiful things that we found with our love.
Yeah, I think the biggest blessed, I don't want to say but like one of the biggest blessings, I have to piggyback, sorry, not gonna be original, is the mirror. Yeah. For the first time, like I feel like you consistently, it was overwhelming in the beginning. I remember one time you were like correcting me on something, and I was just in the slumps, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything right. Like, what the freaking heck? Like, everything is bad. I'm not submissive. I'm not this. I'm not that. Until I went upstairs, and the Lord literally whispered to me and said, that's love. Like, you perverting what He's saying, and you're turning it into judgment. You're turning it to because you didn't come to me in bad ways. You wasn't like, man, you need to like it was just like it was stern. It was like I don't like that. Like, but I mean, you're a great communicator anyways. Like you don't have that problem. But the mirror has been the beauty for me because I feel like because I am very confident and flamboyant, I'm a very big presence. Come on, presence. I'm that too.
You are definitely a present. Yes.
But I am a very big presence that I do know that I can be intimidating on accident. And with that presence, people don't correct me. They're like, either they know, either they feel like I'm going to respond a certain way or, you know. And so to have the mirror in you and not only like the Lord doing it, but you being bold enough to love me enough to be like, I know you're dope. You're fire. You're sexy. You're gifted. You're talented, anointed, prophetic, this, that, prayer warrior. But you need to work on this. And I would not be the woman that I am without you. Point blank freaking period. The awareness that you've brought to my life, the humility, the repentance, the integrity, submission to authority, like I mean I can keep naming them, like how you've challenged my spirit, my flesh in so many different ways. I just would not be the version that I am without you. I probably would still be great, but I'd probably be pissing a lot of people off. So you've brought the love and let me explain why. Because I be making decisions and they be good decisions, but I tend to care about what?
Yeah, for those who are into the Enneagrams and all that, you are 8.
I am an 8, and it's literally called the Challenger.
Yeah.
So I am, but I bring change in environments that are dull. Yeah. If things aren't working, like I've actually been hired and called on to help places that were dying and not working to administrate. And so it's what I'm literally called to do. Real to see things and be like, no, that don't need to do that. That don't need to do that. But you've also brought in. Okay, but just make sure when you say that, it's done in love. And so that's the beauty for sure. But also, I've just never seen, I've never seen love like this. That is so raw. Like, it's just so, we're so free with each other. Like, I'm crazy. I scream all day. I make weird noises.
Sing songs out of nowhere.
Sing what you do too. Like, and not even just that, because people are like, oh, I'm free too. But like, not even just that, but like free with like, man, I'm stressed out and I'm dealing with baggage in my mind. Like, forgive me if today is off. Yeah. Like, just the freedom that we operate in. I don't hear it. I don't hear the vulnerability and like, I'm not doing good at this. Hold me accountable to this. Like, I need you to tell me if I'm falling in this. And so, I mean, I can just continue to go on and on and on. And now that we're doing Pillow Talking with the Iwebu's, this has added to the beauty of our love story because we're able to share our experiences vulnerably like we've been doing. That's why it's called Pillow Talking, because this is what we do. And like, the more I get to know you, the more I realize, I said this in the last one, how rare you are. The more I realize how blessed I am, the more I'm like, I'll say yes over and over and over again. I'll choose you over and over again. I'll go through it over and over again. Like, I'll do it again and again and again. It was all worth it. And I think even us going through that, it just brought a different fight about us. Like that probably was the best thing that happened for us to like, y'all thought y'all was going to play with us? You thought I was feeling you? No, like, you thought we was gonna play with y'all? Like, we not playing with, and when I say y'all, I mean like, we are not letting anything get in the way of us fulfilling what God has called us to. And God has called us to confidence. God has called us to peace. God has called us to security. We are not double thinkers. We're not anxious. We're not fearful. We don't contemplate. Like, we know who we are. And I believe we fight for that. And I believe we're an example for that. But the beauty of it is that He can make beauty from ashes.
Definitely can.
He can take the graveyard and make something beautiful out of it and revive it and put colors on it. And literally, like, even when you're talking earlier, this might be also where we're different. Like, my emotions for that is really different. Like, I don't, even when I talk about it, I don't get sad. I'm just like, if it wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been. I just would not be who I am to you.
Yeah.
I would not be the mother that I am if I wouldn't have went through anything in my past. Like the way that I love my daughters is because there was trauma for me in nurturing. There was, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all a part of the story, and so the beauty of it is all of it for me.
Real talk.
Literally.
Really, yeah. It had to happen. The things that make us who we are, it had to happen. So sometimes when I look back at things and I look at maybe some things that were said wrong by a leader or whatever the case may be, I'm like, you know what? You played your part. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I don't know, sitting in your seat, it's a little bit different too. So if I'm sitting in your seat, I might have seen your view a little bit better too. So I have grace. So I have grace over that, and just knowing, it's a lot to it. And so to be on this side has been amazing. Yes. And we still have our hiccups, our issues. Everyone, we definitely have, but not like it was. It's just been
mature.
Yeah,
it's like we're stepping into the mature love.
Yeah, really.
You know how I feel like that's how I'm gonna shout them out. Pastor, it was not Pastor, but Tellis and his wife, Sharice.
Oh yeah,
I feel like they
Boltons, shout out to them.
Yeah, Bolton. Yes. I feel like they have that mature.
Tellis and Sharice, yes.
Like in certain couples you get around, like y'all don't argue that much. Like we went through that. We know each other. Like I feel like. Not that we're fully there, but I feel like we're stepping into it. Like it's just less we argue about. Like even when I got home, like y'all was tired before I recorded this video. I was at the studio. Like I did a whole bunch today. Namdi was definitely getting on my nerves, and then he just made me laugh. I don't know what it was. Like you
think I took the covers off of you?
Yeah, he snatched the cover off because I was trying to go to sleep.
Yeah,
and he's like, "No, you don't want it bad enough."
I told her, "No, listen, hey." We gotta, consistency is the only cheat code. We gotta make sure that we do this, man. Because
I was so tired.
Somebody need to hear this that's left astray. Somebody who's been cast out, who that nobody cares about, who said, "Oh, he messing up again" or whatever. Somebody need to hear it. So I'm glad that we, I just God put it in me today. One day it might be you.
For sure.
But to me tonight,
because I was tired
to have us push through. So yeah.
So
it's so beautiful to do this.
I love you so much, and I'm just so grateful for
so much
to have a partner through that. Because I mean, it's so crazy. Remember we was in when we were at what was it? Was it now or was it? I don't know, when you were like, "Oh, babe, we don't have friends. You're my best friend."
Yeah. We had kind of cleared the slate.
Yeah, we cleared it out. We wiped everybody out. We like, look, if y'all can't honor us for where we going and what we're about to do, if y'all still talking to us like old TK and Namdi, you can't be around. Like you gotta see where we're going if you're gonna be attached. And so I also have to say, we are surrounded right now. Like the Lord has blessed you with men of God.
Yes, thank God.
The Lord has blessed me with women and marriages and couples. Yes. Like the Lord has really just y'all. When we moved to Atlanta, it was just like
so and that's when you knew that it was
crazy.
God's work. Once we got here, everything just started coming in alignment.
Yes.
We how most people move to Atlanta for the hype and this and they trying to just really be out there. Yeah. That ain't what we were about. God knew our hearts in this move, and
He's been faithful.
It's been so in it's been such a beautiful move. Yep. That's what I'll leave it at. So
Amen.
So overall, hey, listen, I pray that you enjoyed our love story here. Not perfect, none of those things, but God's been so amazing and his grace is so sufficient. And I pray that you got something out of it, whether you're single, you're married, or whatever the case may be. I pray you got something from it. So again, this concludes another episode. Before we do, though, baby, you want to tell them what they need to do, what they need to
like, kind of
yeah.
So if you enjoyed this episode, we're definitely gonna chop this down. For sure, so y'all can get into good bite sizes. But listen, we need y'all to like, we need y'all to comment, we need y'all to subscribe, we need you to hit the notification bell. Like, be tapped in, comment with us in the live chat when you're watching the premiere. Like, vibe with us, follow us on Instagram. Yes. Please follow us on all social media, and then also don't forget to actually listen to us on all the digital
platforms you can find us. Anything that you listen to podcasts on, maybe you like, man, I'm in my car. This is a pretty long segment, but I want to get all of it. Go ahead and pop us in on that Spotify or that on that Apple podcast. We're on that right now. We're coming through your speakers right now.
Period.
So go ahead and listen to us. And like, I like listening to my podcasting segment. So I like listening to some of it one day, and I'll end it.
If it's good, sometimes I will.
Yeah, I'm in it. So I pray this was good enough, man.
Yes,
this just
y'all
comes
let
from
us
the heart.
know. Yes, y'all let us know how y'all enjoyed this. We definitely enjoyed.
Please leave comments.
Our different versions and just the growth overall. Marriage is fire. I don't know what y'all algorithm is telling y'all, but we're coming from real people that do real life. Marriage is phenomenal when done with Jesus. Yes. Okay, that's all. We are out, and we will see y'all on the next episode with Pillow Talking with the Uwebos.
Yep. Hey, thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you could do us a huge favor, please hit that like button and please subscribe.
Yes, and please do not forget to hit that notification bell. We need y'all to be locked in every single time we drop this fire content. Yes. Also, we need y'all to follow us on all social media platforms at the Uwebos. And look, we will see y'all on the next video.